Hey guys, Austin Hope here, trapped in our home, as probably most of you are. So we're just trying to have a little fun, and Easter's canceled probably. Well, the gatherings are canceled, and spring break, and so anyways, you guys are all dealing with the same stuff we're all dealing with. But thought we'd have a little fun tonight, and we got some new spring releases. I'm pretty excited about the Rosé. We've we made this rosé with an intentional point, and that being a lot of times rosés are what they call afterthought. So it's typically how they're made is they're bled, what we call bleeding. We crush a red grape, put it in the tank, and then we'll pull a little bit of juice off right at the very beginning, and that will be light in color because it has very little skin contact. And what that does is it concentrates the red wine that you're making by taking a little bit of juice out. And so you end up with this juice that people didn't know what to do with for years, but rosé is so popular, it has been popular, especially in Europe, but not in the US until in more recent years. What we do is we actually do it a little bit differently. We actually will pick some grapes and press them with the intention of actually making rosé. So the difference is we're picking at a much lower sugar, and we're making these red grapes into rosé, as opposed to just picking at high sugars like we're trying to make red wines and then bleeding it off. And what ends up happening when you do that is you've got a very dark colored, high alcohol, and that's not what rosé is supposed to be. Rosé is supposed to be light, crisp, fun, pretty color. See this here? We'll pour you some. So this is just released for our wine club. I mean, look at the color of this. It's like a light salmon. There's some salmon here. I don't know if you see that. Fresh fruit, lively acidity, not heavy on the palate, low in alcohol. Basically, you can drink a whole bottle to yourself and be totally fine. So anyways, we're cooking some salmon tonight. We first off, go to your local salmon purveyor, your local fishmonger. That's what we did tonight. Take the fish. We'll rinse it off, and then I pat dry it. You want the fish to be dry, so you don't want it to be wet when you put it into your pan. Do that, and then the other thing I like to do is so things cook evenly, because you see how the tail is a little bit thinner here. So I take and I score the top part. See? So you just put a little bit of cut right there in the thicker pieces. This will help the fish cook evenly. And what I'm using is I'm using a bloodroot knife. If you guys don't have one of these, you guys should get one of these. You have to get on a waiting list to get them. It's like a lottery. It's pretty fun, actually. It's kind of like going to Vegas. Don't know when you're ever going to win or not, but you can win. Best knives made. Super good people out of Georgia. Make amazing knives. Anyways, so that's that. I immediately we put salt. I've already got some salt on it, but you always need more salt. It's a given, right? And then this one is seasoning I like to use is I do a little bit of different things with salmon. So, and then if you hear that barking, that's our new little puppy that's outside self-quarantine with our little best friend Azul, and they're having quite a good time out there. So with seasoning salmon, there's obviously salt, pepper. You gotta have that, right? Then I've created a little thing here. You put a little cinnamon on it, a slight amount of cayenne, some garlic powder, black pepper, obviously, and then I like to put a little paprika, and then a tiny bit of ground clove. It's very overpowering, so you gotta be really careful not to use too much. That's the first thing we do there, and then I take it over, and I've got a pan that's... So once your pan's sufficiently hot, we'll give it a second here. In the meantime, I've chopped up a bunch of mushrooms earlier today that we got. Fresh mushrooms are out there, guys. Found some candy caps the other day and some chanterelles. These are some shiitakes and some trumpets that a friend of mine grew. The best way for mushrooms, if you guys don't know, is when you buy mushrooms, chop them up, put them in a saute pan, and just sort of example, that right there was about 3 pounds of mushrooms. You see how smaller they are? What we do is I do what's called a dry sauteing. So you take the mushrooms, chop them up, throw them in a pan like this, put it on low, super low, and just leave them there and let them sweat, because mushrooms have got so much water in them, you don't get the true flavors of them. A lot of times you'll chop up, throw it in there, you don't get what the flavors that you should get out of it. So you let them dry saute until they go down into this small form. Then I put olive oil. No, excuse me, back up. I didn't use olive oil today. I used rendered pork fat that we got a pig yesterday, and I took the fat from the pig, put it in a pan at very low heat, and let what they call rendering, let all the really clean fat melt into liquid form. Then I took that, put it into a mason jar, put it in the fridge, and it's better than butter, and it's cleaner, it's better for you, it's really cool. Anyways, so that was in there, and then we also used Treana Blanc, which is one of my favorite whites that we make. Viognier, Marsanne, Roussanne, super cool wine. I use it in almost everything I cook with. So we put it in the mushrooms as well. So now that our pan is sufficiently, we put it down, and the face down. You love hearing that, you gotta hear that. Meantime, just before we put this on, chopped up some cauliflower, carrots. I've soaked this stuff today in apple cider vinegar, toasted sesame oil, a little Treana white, and some lemon juice. And it's pretty interesting when you use apple cider vinegar to cook. It adds such a flavor. Like, these vegetables will pop like you won't believe. We got our salamander in there. Get the fish going. And then we should probably have a little glass of Treana Blanc, because that's what we're gonna eat tonight, or drink tonight with our salmon. And then one little thing I like to do at the very end, when we're cooking, you gotta make sure you get a solid brown on this, right? You want it to be nice and brown. But what I really like to do is I like to throw capers. Capers are just such a cool little flavor. And you throw those in there, let them get going. Put a little flame on it. Makes it more exciting, right? We really like the fire. Make sure it's evenly cooking and we're not sticking anywhere because we put enough olive oil down. The key is to get one side, like cook it really hot, right? Because you want the one side to brown really hard, get a nice brown crunch to it. And then when you flip it, it's just a matter of a couple minutes with that to the other side. So in the presentation, we lay it out much prettier. And that's what we're doing. And we're drinking Treana white while we do it. I guess we could be sheltering in place in a much worse place, right? We make wine, so hopefully you guys are enjoying it and getting plenty of it and enjoying the close ones that you're with. I think my wife might be done with me, but I'm not positive. Maybe by the end of the month we'll figure it out. But I think it's going to make us closer, to be honest with you.